Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of the Scratch Track Podcast presented by the Dude and Grim Show and co-produced by Mr. IVEST. I'm the Dude.
And I am Grim. And today we are excited to talk about the newly released 3D Country by Geese.
Oh, man.
Not the Geese, just Geese.
No. Yeah, this was just brought to our attention. I had not heard of this band before our co-producer brought it to our attention. It looks like this is their second album.
Yep, that's what I'm
second
seeing.
one that I've seen. And I think the first thing that probably caught both of our attention was our buddy essentially said, you know, he heard a little Mr. Bungle in there. And
it piqued our interest.
It piqued our interest, to say the least. California Mr. Bungle, we should clarify. Like,
yeah,
California
you don't have
Mr.
to
Bungle.
listen to it 400 times, like apparently is what it takes to make Disco Volante a good record. No, this is one you'll like. If you like that sound, you'll like it early.
Yep.
Early.
Yeah, it was interesting because I think that kind of set, I don't know if I would say set the bar, but it sort of positioned my expectations for what this was going to sound like. And when I first put it on, it didn't exactly sound like that to me, so I wasn't sure about it at first. But then the more I listened to it, and actually, I think when I first started listening to it, I just picked out a couple of tracks. But going from the beginning, there's definitely like some some of the production and sort of some of the disjointedness in some of the songs. Definitely,
well, and
really
just the way they go
stood out to me.
Over the place. That's what kind of threw me. I mean, from in the first song, which I think is a really good one to open up with, but 2122, I immediately liked it because it's kind of done in a way, in a cadence that would remind people of like Black Dog, right? Where there's a riff and then there's sort of a vocal passage in between the riffs. But unlike that mentioned song, this one's different because it's like every time there's a break, it's like a totally different riff. They go in like a different direction every time there's that break in the vocals. And I'm like, this is sweet. I don't know where it's headed, but I want to be on for the ride.
Yeah. Well, after I got through a handful of songs, the first influence, and they do cite them as an influence to me, was Parquet Courts.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Just how he sounds. There's, I guess, the New York connection, because isn't Parquet Courts New York? Or from around there, so. I imagine. Yeah. Up there, you know.
I don't think that's where they started, but that's where they...
Okay.
Anyways.
It's not where they're...
But where they hail from now.
Yeah. So that's the first thing that stood out to me. But then doing a little research on this album, I will say I'm one of those people who judges books / albums / movies by their cover. And I saw the cover of this, and it is pretty silly. It's called 3D Country, and it does have a little bit of that twang to it. But it also has this weird psychedelicness. And yeah, I kind of like, when I think of country music, I think of country music, most of it's like 1D. Like, I don't even know if it's 2D, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, man, we're going to take this in a lot of different directions, and they totally do. Now, what I read about it, though, is sort of they said basically the album is centered. It's the story of an uptight cowboy as he wanders through the desert after taking psychedelic drugs. Watching the world around him and his concept of the self unravel in the process.
Wow.
I think that's a pretty accurate description.
Yeah. Well, especially with songs titles like Cowboy Nudes, which as soon as I heard that title, I was like, that's pretty hilarious.
Sounds like a good one.
Yeah, I am already interested. Not necessarily
I really
like seeing the nudes, but just to know that they exist.
It exists. It's pretty important. Yeah, it says a lot. But like one of the songs, I See Myself, which I believe might have been, I think it might be a single of theirs. But that song I love. It's got so much soul. And you have these like the background singers, and it's just like, again, I feel like you get thrown a lot of curveballs in this album, where you're expecting one thing and it's like a Tarantino movie. You expect one thing and it's like, no, we're gonna go in this other direction that you weren't expecting. The creativeness, the originality. I can say I have not heard an album, I guess, this unique in a very long time.
No, I haven't. And so, of course, no surprise that Pitchfork gave it not good reviews, because, I mean, it's just hard when you know everything like they do. And it's just that it's not even opinion anymore. It's just that's the objective reality, apparently, because they're just so fucking smart, I guess. But I would give it a really good review, because I think it's actually something for once that's unique and interesting. And it's refreshing to hear something come out where you just don't know where it's going to go next. Yeah. Even with bands we love, like I had expectations for what the Queens of the Stone Age album that just came out and the KGLW album that just came out. You kind of had expectations of what it would sort of do. But this one, I didn't know what was going to happen in the next song.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, just like, track 4 is I See Myself, and it's got this real soulfulness to it and great background singing and everything. And then you go into a song like Undoer, and it's like this 7-minute weird odyssey that rocks, but then also it like falls apart. I don't even know how it's disjointed at parts, but then it kind of comes back together. And I mean, you can do that in a 7-minute song. I mean, it takes balls to like put that stuff out there, because obviously it's probably not going to be a radio hit.
I think it takes a lot of guts just to put this album out there.
Yeah.
Especially with what popular music is right now. It ain't this. It's not even close to this. It's predictable.
Yeah, and I imagine these guys are pretty young. I mean, it says the band formed in 2016 while they were in school in New York, and then during high school, they practiced and recorded in a basement. I mean, how many times, that's just such like the kind of classic story of guys getting together and, hey, let's jam and let's go. Oh, like whose basement can we whose parents are cool enough to let us play in the basement or the garage and leave our shit set up.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And then have it sound like this when we're practicing, Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So dude, now, I mean, I don't know if other people out here or who are watching this are familiar with their first album. I have not listened to it. It'd be interesting. I'm looking forward to listening to that to see if, how does that sound? Is it kind of all over the place? Or is it progressing? Like, what direction? Is there a direction? And, what are they going to come out with next? I do know that it looks like they're touring now, and I think they're going to be coming through Detroit
on his way to Detroit
at some point here. So, hopefully I might be able to get tickets to that.
Yeah, I would definitely. I'm hoping to catch them live on tour for this. I think it would be a really interesting show.
Yeah, and it'd definitely be interesting to see their setup, because it seems fairly complex. What are they? Are they kind of I don't know, what's the trimming it down a little bit, is there, like how are they pulling this off live? Yeah, I guess that's, to me, that is the key. I know there's some videos on YouTube where they've played some sessions and things, so definitely might check out some live stuff and just see how they pull it off live.
Well, one thing I like too is there's really good production, and there seems to be a lot of interesting instrumentation. But it's not like, I don't know how to say this, but some of the changes don't seem so crazy that you couldn't pull it off in terms of the overall sound. Like it's a lot to manage and sort of orchestrate, but at the same time, it's not like you go from like a complete total thrash metal sound to like surf music. You know what I mean? There's enough of like things that carry over where I could see
consistency.
Yeah, where it's very different, but yet there's somehow some consistency that ties it together where I could see it being a really interesting live show. And I would love to see what sort of improvisational elements get thrown into it too, because that's a whole different part of it.
Absolutely. I agree. Well, it looks like, let's see. Yes, from January, they've released. So Cowboy Nudes was the first single. Then 3D Country, Mysterious Love, and I See Myself is came out on your birthday, Grim, June 20th. So happy birthday.
Nice. Thanks.
So
what was the album that was released on the 23rd?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So we're still on the cusp here. Yeah. Well,
just a week here.
I kind of wish that I already had the vinyl to hold up. It was one of those ones when I listened to it, I was like, I think I'm going to need this one.
It was like the first thing I did was like look up and be like,
oh I know, me too. If it was even available,
where I can get it, and what versions and all this stuff. Yeah. So it is cool. Check it out, people. It's on Apple Music. It's on Spotify. It's on Amazon. It's also on vinyl. So I can't speak for CD and cassette, but I'm sure it's on CD too. Well, does that about wrap it up there, Grim?
Well, I want to know. So before we do that, could you easily identify when you've listened to it, however many times you have, was there a song where you were like, okay, this is my favorite song? I'm pretty sure. Not that it couldn't change, but
yeah. Well, like you, I really like the opening track, which is, I imagine 2122
or 2122
or 2021. Yeah. 2000. Yeah. It could be that. I really liked Endure. The ones that stood out to me were, the first two tracks, 2122 and 3D Country. And then I See Myself just because those background vocals by the women just really caught my ear. And then Endure is just a weird song. And
I like Saint Elmo too. That's got a nasty little
that's the last
lick
track,
on it.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that is the last track. And it's got just a tasty little slap in the mouth of a little lick on it.
Yep.
So I can't wait to keep listening to it. I'm very glad that co-producer IVEST brought this to our attention because it was very welcomed by me and fun to listen to something where I was just like, I do not know what's going to happen next. Let's ship it. Let's do this.
You know what? Sometimes I don't know what's going to happen next on this channel. So who knows? Who knows what we'll be talking about next episode? I don't know. But if you do want to know, you should definitely like, subscribe, and comment below. All right. Time to go.
The Dude
and Grim Show.
Dude and Grim Show.
Dude. Grim Show.
Scratch the Track is produced by the Dude and Grim. Additional music provided by Moore and the Tings. Copyright 2023, The Dude and Grim Show.